Hey guys, Anime Green, the Green Flash here on the GreenClan Studios. Today we'll be doing something a little bit different. Now I did tell you we would be revamping the channel and adding a lot of different changes, trying to expose other forms of media and entertainment that we personally enjoy, such as movies, video games, and comic books. So I decided to start off with something that would really be easy and familiar for us to ease on through to this new change, and that is animated series review. This is a 2003 review of the Spider-Man animated series. Now I think it was a good way to start off with this because it's still animation at the end of the day, and its animation is very superior compared to a lot of other animated series going on at the same time this came out. So I think you'll still be stunned by the animation. Even though it's not Japanese influenced animation, it's still pretty awesome. And like I said, we like to talk about other stuff that we enjoy as well. But the core of this channel will forever be about anime. So you guys know my style. I like to talk about the plot, the characters, the music score, and my overall thoughts about everything going on in this series. So let's get started with Spider-Man 2003 animated series review.
Some people spend their whole lives trying to figure out who they are. But for me, it's about keeping it a secret.
Ever wonder what my life is like?
Hands in the air!
Hello? Good guy! Saved your butt!
On the ground now!
My life is complicated.
Now, the main story is pretty simple. Every episode is very episodic, just like Cowboy Bebop, where every episode feels like its own story. This is the same thing applies here. For every single episode, you have a new villain of the week. You have basically a struggle that Peter Parker has to overcome during that episode. And at the end of the day, of course, Spider-Man saves the day, and hooray. That's basically how every episode is until the end, where there's a big season finale and a big plot twist that I didn't even really see coming, so it's pretty interesting. Now, this is a lot darker tone compared to other Spider-Man animated series. This is the darkest one out there. So if you're trying to get into a Spider-Man animated series, of course, first off, go with Spectacular Spider-Man. That is still the best Spider-Man out there that's animated, but also check out the original Spider-Man series. But after those two, this one pretty solid. The other Spider-Man animated series feel very childish, very kiddie. This one, nowhere. This is the most mature one. It has dark tones, very mature. It has, drug references. It has sex references, a lot of implied things. So it's no joke. And the voice acting. Before I get into the actual review, I have to say I applaud the voice acting. It was a spectacular cast of voice actors. Neil Patrick Harris, he's a pretty famous actor. He actually voices Peter Parker in the series. So it all sounds really good. So I'm going to talk about the pros and cons. But first off, let's talk about the actual plot. Like I said, every episode is very episodic, so it's not like you really need to understand what's going on. Everybody knows the struggle that Peter Parker goes through. He's an average kid who, well, technically in this series, he's actually a college student with his little group of friends. And on the other side of the day, he's Spider-Man swinging around the city, saving the day, doing what a superhero does. So the plot is pretty simple. But that's not the strongest aspect to the story. The strongest aspect is definitely the characters.
There's a party tonight. The Sigmas want to come.
How about if I come late?
He's not coming.
Some people actually have social lives. Maybe you ought to try it one day.
Why not just go to a party like everyone else? Just because I'm not like everyone else?
Where were you when we had an energy crisis? It's lights out time, Static Man.
Now, this is where I kind of have some iffy feelings about. Some of the characters were really stunning, spectacular, gave great performances. Other characters were like, what was the point of them being there? First off, we get our main cast of characters, Peter Parker. I don't really need to go in detail. Everybody knows who Spider-Man is. It's not really that hard. Now, this series follows a 2003 storyline continuity from the 2002 movie. Sorry. If you haven't seen the 2002 Spider-Man, what the hell are you doing with your life? Come on. Everybody has seen that movie. It basically follows that storyline, so everything that happens in that movie affects this universe, this world. So, basically, Peter Parker, he's just dealing with his friends, his friend Harry Osborn believes that he killed, or he doesn't know he's Peter Parker, but he believes Spider-Man actually killed his father, Norman Osborn. So he still has this big hate for him because obviously Spider-Man killed the Green Goblin in the 2002 film, or they think he killed him. You guys know what I mean. Next off, we have Mary Jane. She's kind of most female characters pretty useless. I didn't really care about her character that much. She did have a few important scenes. She always screws up Peter Parker's relationships because, you know, that's what they do. There are quite a few love triangles in the story, but I don't really ever care about relationships in any type of series, so I never really paid attention to it. I'm not that big of a fan of Mary Jane, but she's like the signature love interest of all Spider-Man stuff, so I understand. There's also another love interest, Indy. She's pretty cool. She has a good personality, very entertaining, but something happens to her. I can't really talk. It's a big plot twist at the end of the series. But there's a lot of different character dynamics that are really spectacular, mainly by the secondary characters. They stole the show. Some of the villains were spectacular, like Electro. He stole the show of this entire series. Electro gave an emotional, epic performance. I love the 2 episodes that he was in. Now, if we want to talk more about the characters, more about the villains, some of the more famous Spider-Man villains were not even in this animated series, which is very sad. Some of the big ones like Green Goblin, Doc Ock, or Venom, they were nowhere to be seen in here, so that kind of sucked. But we did get some classics. We got Kraven the Hunter, Silver Sable, Electro, and Lizard. I believe that was all. There might be one more I'm missing, but that's basically it. Also Kingpin. Other than that, there were some animated series only villains that were very horrible. Like, they had some lame powers. They really weren't interesting. Not really that deep. I didn't really care about their struggle or why they turned their lives to crime. So they weren't really something that you could feel empathy for or be very sympathetic to them, because they were just like there for one episode. You really couldn't like create a personal feeling towards those characters. But of course the classic ones that you know about you can, but other than that you don't really care about too much of the villains. So the villains, they weren't really that strong except for Electro. I mean, the 2 episodes he was in, it was epic. I mean, it was amazing. Like I said, this is a lot darker tone, so the characters are a lot more gritty, more realistic compared to other animated series. Now let's move on to the best part of this series, in my opinion, the animation.
Spandex? You might want to rethink that.
This is so not spandex!
Harry, run! Why are you helping me?
Thanks for letting me do that.
Not a problem.
Now, the first time I watched it, I remember the first episode, like, what the hell? Because I watched this in, like, 2005. It came out in 2003. And the animation just looked like, wow, this totally came out, like, years ago. And I just rewatched it, and now it's like, whoa, animation is so different nowadays. However, for its standards back in those days, it was spectacular. By the time I got to episode 3, when I was rewatching it, my mind was blown because the animation is epic. I mean, the 3D animation and cell shading that they used for the first time in this series in 2003, it just was spectacular. You really had to see it for yourself. The first episode, you might be like, what are you talking about, Adam? It's not really impressive. But by the time you get to like the 3rd episode where real action starts occurring, you'll be like, okay, the choreography, the fight scenes are actually very intense. Of course, this is, like I said, a more mature type of series. It was premiered on MTV. It has blood, it has cursing, it has, like I said, it has a lot more implied things to like sexual and drug references, so it has a lot of different things that make it feel more realistic, more like Spider-Man's actually going through it. And I'm glad that they had him in college, so it feels more mature. Like a teenager couldn't watch this without feeling like he's watching some type of kiddie cartoon. So I did like how they set the tone up. I love the character dynamics on some of the characters. Harry Osborn was a very cocky prick. Like, he was totally a douchebag because he was rich. He could get anything he wants, but he still has revenge for Spider-Man. I really didn't care for his character because he was annoying and such a cocky person, but by the time you get towards the end of the series, he gets a development change where he realizes that Spider-Man, I mean, should he be hating on Spider-Man as much? Is his revenge justified? I did like how they started going more into those themes towards the end of the series. Like I said, it has some pretty deep themes for an animated series in America. I mean, it's pretty deep. Alright, finally let's talk about the music score, which is another spectacular thing on this series.
I bet the X-Men get to go to parties.
The music is epic. Like, it has a lot of more experimental music towards the background, and the very, very electro vibes going out. The intro it gets you hooked. The intro shows all the epic animations that you'll see during the fights of the series. The animation, I'm not kidding, the animation's pretty epic, especially since it came down in 2003. So the animation, the music score, and especially some of the characters, like Peter Parker, I think he was displayed very well. The only problem I had with it is they made him a little bit too serious, so he wasn't always giving those witty banters and being sarcastic. That's what Spider-Man is. He's a sarcastic geek. That's just who he is. They did have some moments where he shined, but overall, I think the performance for Peter Parker was average, but the voice acting was still pretty spot on. But overall, guys, that's my thoughts about the animated series from 2003. Oh, and I forgot the best part. It's only 13 episodes. It's 1 season long, so it's pretty short. Now, you watch the first episode, you might not be impressed because the villain was lame. The first episode wasn't impressive. Second, third, and then you get into the rest of the series. It's epic, in my opinion. I really enjoyed it. I'll see you guys next time for an anime review on this channel, which will probably be in a week or two. But I hope you guys, if you're bored on Netflix one night, just want to watch 13 episodes of Spider-Man, it's there. The 2003 animated series, I give it an 8 out of 10.